Hey, what's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC. Today we're talking Spyderco's Red and Black Holiday Second Sale. They did have an online second sale a few months back in July where I was able to score the 4 knives that you see on the table in front of you. I did make a video on that one, so if you're curious what came in my mystery box, which items I picked out directly, what I paid for them, and overall experience, I will link to that in the corner if you want to check that out. But I will summarize it quickly. The online portion of that sale was a disaster. The load times were just horrendous. It took literal hours for some people to check out. And so that part was a very negative experience, but there was a ton of selection. The lag meant that you didn't have to rush to figure out what you wanted to add to your cart because no one could check out, and so you had time to look through all of the items and figure out exactly what you want. And the items that I ultimately got, I think, were very, very good. I was really happy with the mystery box, so I was happy with the items I was able to pick out. And so ultimately, when I think back about it, I don't really remember the load times. I just remember I got some cool knives out of it. So pretty positive experience. Now, I know that wasn't the case for everyone. You know, some people were loading for an hour and then just had to get back to their life. Maybe they had to go to work or were just frustrated and didn't want to sit and wait to check out on a website for a knife. And so not everyone had a great experience, but mine was pretty positive. So when they announced the holiday second sale, I was pretty excited about that. Now in that post, they put that there would be a new website specifically for this sale, and there shouldn't be the lag times that we experienced before. And so I was a little bit skeptical about that, or a lot of bit skeptical. I even posted about the sale coming up, but warned about the potential loading times. And ultimately, it turned out they were correct. There was no noticeable lag whatsoever. I was checked out probably within 2 minutes of the sale going live, and most of that time was me shopping the rest of the sale. Nothing, like I said, no noticeable lag. So happy with that. And then when I landed, there were 2 mystery boxes that were kind of front and center. I was doing it on my phone, still laying in bed, and so those were front and center. Had to scroll over to see the rest. And there wasn't a ton of selection. This definitely felt like more of a test run for a bigger sale in the future, but it seems like it was a successful test run, so that's definitely a good sign. First 2 items you see are these mystery boxes. There's a 250 and a 400, and I had set a budget. I didn't want to spend more than $500 on here, preferably a decent bit less than that, and so I added the $250 mystery box to my cart in the hopes that I can get a few other knives and not spend too much more than that. Now, as I was scrolling over, there was nothing that was honestly that exciting for me personally. I know there was some good knives in there, but as far as models that I wanted to check out, not a whole lot. There was a little native with the Warncliffe blade for $68 that I've kind of been kicking myself for not picking up. That one would have been kind of cool. There was also some that were just really good deals where it seemed like maybe they'd be worth it, but again, not models that I was super excited about checking out. So ultimately decided not to add any of the individual knives to my cart and went back to the bundles. Now at this point, I still had, you know, a decent bit of my budget left. They had that $400 box, considered swapping out, but when I was thinking about it, which I admittedly did pretty quick because I wanted to get checked out, I tried to think of what would make that box worth it for me. And really only 2 knives came to mind, and the likelihood that I got one of those 2 knives in the box seemed pretty low, and so I figured it would be setting myself up for disappointment. So I just stuck with the $250 box, and that's perfectly fine. You know, just because you set a budget doesn't mean you have to spend the whole thing. And so it took about 6 days to get here. The sale was Friday, arrived on Thursday, and extremely happy with what I got. I got 2 separate exclusives, and both of them have some super steals that I'm very excited to see on these knives. And so couldn't be happier with this sale. I didn't buy a whole lot, but what I got was very high quality and stuff I'm excited about. So with that said, let's move these knives out of the way just so we have a little bit more room here, and we'll dive in. Worth mentioning, the sticker was included. They said they'd throw some swag into the orders, so for me it was a single sticker. Not sure if they did different swag in different orders, but still cool to see a sticker in there. The coin was not included. This is part of a Facebook group I'm in called the Millie PM2 Para 3 Club. Do an annual coin. I think this is the 4th one they've done. Really cool design on the back, and of course that logo up front, some text along the side with one of the rules from the group. And so I thought I'd throw that in there because it arrived, I think, a day or 2 before the mystery box did. So with that said, let's take a look at the first one. This one came It's an exclusive from Fradon Lock Company, never heard of them. And worth noting, when you get these, you don't really know what you're getting. You get a bubble mailer and the knife is inside. You obviously may or may not recognize the model. Not a whole lot of information on here. There's a model number that they use on their site, but no name on here. A price from if they were to sell this individually as a second directly on the blade, but you don't get the box and you don't get any additional information, so do have to do some research. But the knife that was inside that bubble mailer was the Para 3 with marbled carbon fiber and an Elmax steel blade. And so super excited mostly for that Elmax steel, but I think the marbled carbon fiber looks excellent and cool to discover a new retailer here. I've never heard of Fradon Lock Company, but they seem to have a nice selection of knives and do some exclusives. So I definitely bookmarked them to check out in the future. But really good looking knife. The exciting part for me is definitely that Elmax steel, but the Para 3 is a classic. I'm not gonna go into a ton of detail on either of these knives because I'll make videos on them in the future, but it is listed on the Spyderco website for $299, which is MSRP. Of course, not what you're gonna pay. The listing on Fradon is no longer up, and so not sure what this would have cost from them directly, but I would imagine probably $240 if MSRP is $300. If you know, let me know in the comments. But really beautiful knife, not a super obvious blemish anywhere that I could see when I got it out. If you've never gotten a second, they do put a notch on the blade directly, so you can kind of see that right behind that Spidey hole. Looks like a little imperfection there, but that is intentional. It's in front of the jimping, so not super noticeable. The reason for that is if you send this in for warranty, they'll immediately recognize it as a second. If you try and sell it on the secondary, most people who are familiar with Spyderco seconds will immediately recognize it as a second. And even if they don't, someone in the group might call it out if it's not in the post. And so nice way to identify them and make sure you're not overpaying for something presented as a first quality. And so nothing super obvious on the blade. The blade was perfect minus that seconds mark. And on the scales, if we look at it from either side, those both looked really good as well. Now, marbled carbon fiber would hide small imperfections pretty well, but I didn't see anything immediately. And then I flipped it over to the spine, and we do notice a couple tooling marks or gouges here where it looks like maybe some metal was dragged across right behind this lock bar, and then a smaller gash kind of right here in front of that lock bar. And so both very minor. Surprisingly can't feel them. I can't catch my nail in them, so they must not be as deep as they look. They do look as if they could be somewhat deep, but not bad at all. If that's the only imperfection, perfectly happy with this knife. Now, I may eventually swap these scales out. I think they look really good. I'm happy with the look of the scales, but the Para 3 is just such a good platform for customization because there's so many different custom scales out there. And so I'll probably leave it for a little bit because I like the look of it, but I do have tons of marbled carbon fiber, so may swap it out for something unique and cool in the future. But after that one, I was pretty happy with that start. And I could kind of see through the bubble wrap the color of the next one, so I had a good idea of at least what company it was from. This is a DLT trading exclusive, and it's a model of knife that I don't already have and is one that I actually wanted to check out. If this were listed as a second on the website, I probably would have picked this up anyway. So really, really excited to see this one in there, and maybe even more exciting than that Para 3. So this is the Yojimbo 2. In purple G10, has a Cruwear blade, DLC coated. Absolutely beautiful knife. I love purple. It's really grown on me a lot because it's my wife's favorite color, and so really was excited to see this in there. As I've just kind of, you know, she has a bunch of purple stuff. It's just kind of ended up being my second favorite color somehow, and so was extremely excited to see this. And again, the Yojimbo 2 was one that I've been wanting to check out for a while. So no obvious imperfections on this one. I think the reason maybe this one was in there is the action wasn't very good. In fact, it was very hard to open. I could only really slow roll it. If I like flicked it, it would go like halfway and like just stop here. So I did loosen up those pivots, squirt a little bit of oil from the outside. I haven't fully disassembled this in there. It's definitely working in a little bit, but it was tight when I got it. And so you do see that second notch a little bit more prominently because this one's coated. You can see that shimmer from it. And so otherwise I wasn't able to find any imperfections. And so I'm have to assume it was just because the action wasn't great. But as you can see, a lot better now. And has this beautiful Warncliffe blade on it. Again, CPM Cruwear. Nice hollow grind on this one, where we had the flat grind on the Para 3, of course. And yeah, love the purple. This is definitely here to stay. I don't know how much custom scales are out there for the Yojimbo anyway, but these ones are definitely here to stay. Like the feel of it in hand quite a bit. The only thing that I don't love is I like to get up right behind that blade, which definitely isn't advised. And for me, that means my middle finger kind of lands on this hump. So it would be nice if that was smoothed out. And I probably could have that smoothed out or do it myself, but don't really want to, so probably won't do that. But either way, love the look of this one. Really excited about it. Like I said, a DLT exclusive and also no longer listed on their site. So no idea what they cost. They do these a lot though, so you can find a lot of matching models of this one if this is something you're into. $260 MSRP, but again, probably, you know, $200, maybe $220 is what they actually sold these for if I had to guess. Now, I know this is going to be one that'll be super popular with Tim from Tim's School of Fish. He loves purple, loves Wharncliffe. So as soon as I saw this, I immediately thought of him. But hopefully he got in on the sale. I'm not 100% sure if he did. But like I said, a lot better action now. One thing I really like actually is when you close this slowly, the sound it makes when it hits the stop pin is very, very satisfying. So I'll stop talking for a second. And just has a really satisfying click there. So I really enjoy the acoustics on this one. I think I've only had this for a couple hours. The action's already breaking in nicely. And so without being able to find a blemish on here, getting an exclusive that's long sold out, this is definitely the star of the show for me. But would love to hear your thoughts on which one's your favorite. If you ended up participating in the second sale, what you picked up. If you got a mystery box, what you got. Doesn't seem like there's a lot out there yet. I think I've seen 2 posts showing what people got so far. So it seems like I got pretty early, being that 6-day shipping, but hopefully we'll see more of these popping up when this video goes live or within the next couple days after that. But definitely curious to see what everyone gets. That's probably the mystery boxes for me are the most exciting part of these sales. Obviously nice if you can find a specific model, but the exclusives don't tend to be listed on the website. So if you want one of the old retired exclusives, your best bet is to get a mystery box. But let me know what you think of what I got down in the comments below. And again, what's your favorite from this is, and if you picked this up, what you picked up. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and have a great one. Take care.